And we are live. All right, so I'm a little behind in getting started. Unfortunately, today was a migraine day, so I'm a little bit behind schedule. But I did cut off one of the tama already. Going to use that to wind the silk thread for the tie off. Let's see, this probably isn't the most telegenic of methods, but if I leave it in that box, it's not going to roll over the floor. So that should work. Just want to make sure I get enough thread on here to do a decent tie off. Since this is kind of my weak spot in making braids. So I'm not sure how long this stream is going to be. I got to cut off all of the tama. Then I got to just kind of sew this and loop it around the end of it. And then trim to length. For those that like cats, you might see Cerberus or Serby up here with me. He was needing some extra special attention, loving going on. He didn't want to go into any of his usual like resting spots around us. He wanted active attention. So I brought him up here, which is his kind of safe space for attention. Gave him a bunch before the stream. So hopefully he will settle down and not have too big of an issue being up here with me if I'm not able to actively give him attention. All right. Yeah, a few more loops. Feels like it's catching on something in there. Now I'm going to have to stop going, just some extra resistance here and there as it's probably flopping the cone around. Or at least you can see it in the box now. And I'm not having that issue as it's no longer at the edge of the flat where it can snag. All right, that is probably more than enough. Excuse me. We'll snip there. Set this over here. And promptly drop it. Take the cone out of the box. Bit of twisting on the thread. Let's get that untwisted and set that out of the way over there. All right, so I'm going to cut these off evenly. Don't know why I got the cough. Sorry about that. That's 3 on each side so far. Four and 4. 5 and 5. 6 and 6. 7 and 7. 8 and 8. 9 and 9. Hey, Philip. Nice to see you on. Welcome, welcome. Give me just a second here, and I'll bring you up. Philip says, hello all. Hey, Philip. Well, as long as you are here, let's see. Yeah, you can see Serbia in the background on the right side. Let me just shifting some stuff around. Just a second here. There we go. All right, and share screen. And there we go. It's in its chunky mode. Sometimes it has a smoother camera feed. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm not sure exactly why it's having an issue at sometimes and not others, but it's functional. And for the time lapses, it really only needs like 1 frame per level or a couple of frames per level. I'm currently printing a base for my Sunlu filament welder, which unfortunately is not easy to use if the filament is still on spools. It seems like they designed it to only work really well on straight pieces of filament that don't have any on them from any other direction. So what this is it's a base that you set the filament welder in, and it has some clamps on either side to hold your filament nice and secure so it's not twisting around or having weird torsions on it. And once that's done, it sorry, like I mentioned earlier, today's a migraine day, so my focus is a little off. Anyway, once it's done, you can weld it without it like distorting the weld and making it to where it's not easily usable or it breaks. And that way, it's much easier to use. And since I now have a bunch of stuff I want to print that takes a relatively long time to do so, uses a lot of filament. Sometimes I want to join partial spools together, so I have enough filament on the spool so it doesn't run out and the sensor stop it, and then I have to load up the new spool and start up again, and that usually leaves a little line mark or layer mark that you can tell where it happens. So if you want a nice smooth finish all the way, gotta not have it pause. Whoops. Mr. Cookie has decided he wants out. I am going to go ahead and do that for him real quick. Give me a few seconds here. All right, let me... Philip says, hello, Serby. And Gwen says, hello. Hey, Gwen, nice to see you. Philip says, migraines are awful. I hope it goes away sooner than later. Thank you very much for that. And Philip says, I haven't tried a filament welder, but it seems like a cool way to make custom color changing rolls or segments of filaments, or segments of filaments, rather. Yep, it works pretty good for that from what I understand. Give me a second here. I shall be right back. Okay, I am back up. And we are almost entirely detached to the top layer. Let's get that done and get started on the bottom layer. But yeah, the first time I tried to use the welder, I pushed too hard, got bulges. And what wound up happening was that it jammed in the extruder head. I had trouble getting it back out. That was not fun. And then the next time it had, whoops, had more than one. The thread not cut all the way. Other time I had an issue where it wasn't like holding well enough, and I had to, it broke, which is not what you want in a welder. But I soon realized that it was an issue, and apparently other people have decided that as well. So that's why they've got this little thing that I'm printing out for it. All right. And we're getting there. And I got a couple of additions compared to when I normally do this that might help. I will show them when they become appropriate. There's a slight chance we might be able to get Andrea on. She said she'd try and make it. If she can't, not a big deal. She's definitely a lot busier than I am. And I appreciate people that give me opportunities to practice my art in a way my brain likes. I believe I have mentioned before that I can't really just do this just to do it. It's got to be for a reason or for somebody I like and respect. On the Lego Law Life and Libation channel Saturday night, they had Rackets and Lady Rackets on. He was building a Transformer Optimus Prime Lego set, and Miss Lady Rackets was doing a Atari gaming system thing. It was fun listening to him. The stream was like a little over 9 hours long. I think that's the record for the longest continuous stream, though I think I still hold the record for the longest build time. Mine was like 11.5 hours. If they ever have me back on again, I'm going to pick a shorter one, because while I enjoyed the time on stream quite a bit, I don't want to, like, hog so much of their time. Nope, it seems like all three of them still enjoy talking when they do talk to me. So, and we are getting close now. Sorry about the white balance. But if I didn't adjust it down, it was going to be like overwhelmingly, glowingly white. It's like looking into the heart of a star. With the way my eyes usually fill during migraines, probably not something I would enjoy or anybody else would either. So, all right. All long enough that I can. There we go. All right. Move the box out of the way a bit. Though it's now quite heavy. It's got about 10 kilograms in it. All right, so I'm not having much luck today. Yeah. Please excuse the mess. Yeah, let's see. Let me catch up with chat. Gwen says, are we cutting as we go, or are we just dropping them in the box and cutting them later? I was cutting as I was going. And Gwen says, okay, cut as you go along. All right, so let's take the stop out, back this up, and I'll move this back a little bit here so you guys can see more what I'm doing. All right. That's probably a good spot for that. Okay. All righty. Let's get a needle out of here. Okay, I have my needle. Probably should have brought a magnet up with me just to hold it. Let's set it there for the moment. Going to bring out the other thing that might help me. Okay. Philip Martin says, what's the target length of this braid and how far along are you? I'm sure that's been answered before. I think that target length I was shooting for like 36 to 40. I think I'm about 33 to 35 inches long. I'll have to measure it again to know for sure. The braid is done. I'm just going to be tying it off. And Gwen says, looks like a silky waterfall. Yes, indeed it does. So let's make it easier on me to thread the needle. Yeah. Okay. Guess I don't need the retaining clip at the moment. Should be able to use it as glasses. All right, does the lights work? Now, I guess if it's got a, oh, battery goes in here. Let's see. 3 AAAs. I believe I have some here. Give me a second here, folks. Have I used these glasses before? Not this particular set, but I have used similar ones. Same basic style. Only, excuse me, I think it only had like 3 LEDs as opposed to an option of between 2 and 4. Let's see if I can get these batteries to set 2 of them right there. Gives me a better chance of actually these are AAA batteries. Spring does not want to let that get down in properly. There's it doing the wrong angle. There we go. Now it's in. The other 2 should be easier since they're top level ones. Okay, there. And there. Let's see. All right. So we got 2 LEDs, 4 LEDs. Probably only need 2. All right. And probably need to take my safety glasses off. And I don't need to be super magnified, so let's try the middle one. They just go in here, and you can flip them down. All right, let's see if this works. I really only need to use it at this stage, I think. That worked pretty good. All right. Okay. All right. We'll take these off. Set them over there. The main reason I got those glasses is like I said, I used to have a set similar to it before, but for the miniature painting, I want to be able to see what I'm doing a lot better. All right. So I am going to stab through here and do once around. Kind of pull it a little snug. Stab through again. Make sure I'm not making a knot a bit too early. There we go. And now I'm just going to kind of tie this off with a knot or two just so that it doesn't come undone while I'm starting my wrap. I don't have a lot of spare room to do this in, but that ought to hold it at least. All right. So go ahead and cut that off. Set the needle there because I believe I will need it near the end. All right. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to kind of wrap that around. And actually, before I do that, I want to get this a little tighter so I don't drop it as I do my wraparounds. Okay. Kind of get that as an even look there. Okay. All right. All right, for that, get it like that. Should be a little easier to hold it. Yep, that was good. All right. Now I just need to have it look nice before I start tying it off. Let's see if I do it this way. Is it easier? No, it is not. All right, let's get the bottom end done so I know where I got to fill in. When I get to where I'm past the little weaving parts and I'm actually into straight silk. There we go. Looks like I started a little bit high. I will try and get this mailed off priority mail by Wednesday. I might get it mailed off tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. The oops, don't want to extend too far down. But I'd like to hopefully get this. And I have dropsy again tonight. I hopefully want to get this to Andrea before or by the weekend. Just because I know if I wait much longer than that, it's going to start getting difficult to get stuff through. This is not the easiest of methods, and it's fairly simple, but it should do an adequate job, I think. All right. We've almost got a good wrap down here at the bottom. I can start working my way back up to the top portion. Just need to make sure I get a nice uniform color look here. I'll try and check up on the chat every couple of minutes. Got a few chats there. Give me a few more minutes to work on this, and then I will. Actually, I'm going to try something a little different here. All right, and all right, so how do I get this to stay? Do I have one of those clamps here? It's not the one I was looking for. Hopefully this will work. All right, let's see if that makes this a little bit easier. All right, if I'm doing that, where? And there we go. Well, I'm pretty sure I've got enough thread on here. Get that a bit tighter. That also lets me see the white side, which is the one that needs to be blended away. Let's try a slight variation on this. All right, so let's tilt it this way. Give it, oops. Sure, I'm not interfering with what I'm going to be wrapping. All right, and there we go there. All right. Pull that back up. And Helps if I wrap it on, not unwrap it off. Alrighty. Starting to look a bit better now. Let me catch up with chats. Okay. All right. All right, this is where I left off. Mom Noah says, is on. Hello, Torrin, Gwen, Philip. And Gwen says, hello, Mom Noah. And Mom Noah says, I hope all are well. Other than today being a migraine day, we're doing reasonably well here. And Gwen says, I'm doing okay. It's cold up here. I'm crocheting another blanket. Mom Noah says 42 degrees here, getting down to freezing cold for me. And Mom Noah says you can never have too many blankets. Gwen says it's currently 14 degrees here, got cold down to 4 degrees last night. Too cold for me from Mom Noah. Gwen says that's usual for Michigan this time of year. Mom Noah says I've lived south or southwest for most of my life. I used to love winter, but with the onset of arthritis, all that's changed. And Who Knits is on. Hello. Hey all, we are a balmy 23 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. Mom Noah says, hello, Who Knits? And Gwen says, Who Knits? Woohoo! And Philip says, wax on, wax off. And Philip says to Mom Noah, hello. And Mom Noah says, as kids in Connecticut, you couldn't keep my sisters and I inside. I loved ice skating, sledding, and more. And okay, so all right, so that twists a bit. All right, let's try doing it this way. See if that keeps it from, oops. And that fell on the other side. Yep, looks like it. Okay. All right, let's see if I can't get this a little better off. Starting to look right. Let's get that middle section covered up. Seems to be working a little better now. Yeah, definitely looking better. See, there's a spot down there they could use a bit. So you try not to let it hit the floor again. All right. So it's mostly there. It just needs like another layer or two to get rid of the last little white show-throughs between the threads. And I still have at least half of the amount I rolled on the tama, so I got plenty to play with. Now my fingers are getting a little tired. I'm also less than 72 hours out from starting my treatment. I can barely wait. I think we're almost there. Another couple of minutes, we should be good. I see Amelie's on. Give me a second. All right. Don't want to move up and down too fast or it shows up. All right, I think that's reasonable. All right, give myself enough length to sew the end off here, because it's hard to go back from here. All right. And grab our needle again, toss the unused thread, and a few times I tried this where I tried to tie a knot so it wouldn't slide out. Wound up not working so well because the knot did not want to go through when I was passing it along. All right. Now, The other thing I brought to help, needle nose pliers for the needle. All right, we're at the bottom, or should I? Actually, we were closer to the top. So, all right, I am going to start in here and well, that was a mistake. That's one bent needle. Let's try again with a thinner one. This is a little thinner. Actually, I think I'm going to try a different method for how to tie it off. Might work with the regular safety glasses. All right, so instead of trying to do it through the center, I'm only going to go through here. Get this back up at the top. Get the needle for the moment. So I'll get the thread up at the top. All right. And okay. And again. And oops, slide that back up there. Okay. And okay, there's the needle. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pass through once more and call it good. Got a couple of knots that should keep it from unraveling. Just pass this through and then cut it off on the other side so that the end doesn't come out easily. I wanted it to go out the through the wrapped threads because they're snugger. Let's do one more time. See how well I am at threading this again. Did that? Okay, so I want to start at the top here, just in a little bit of the wrap, and then get it through a lower part of the wrap. All right, there we go. That's what I wanted. And there we go. That should hold up for a decent amount of time. Let's unclip this here. All right, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a long clip. I will use the proper method of wrapping it in some paper, and then yeah, still got a little bit of the weave in there. Might try and comb it out a little bit. So, all right, so about here, it's probably a good spot. All right, so about here. These are good scissors, so it should just take one snip. There we go. Toss the excess in the bakatama. I will dispose of it later. All right, let's get this thing undone. We'll get a proper measurement on it. All right, now that evened up a little bit better. I'm not going to use the nice scissors to snip these. These have a little nipper here, though apparently I need to go across the wide part rather than across the narrow to get it to actually cut. I mean, it's scored it pretty good. Oh well, do it the old-fashioned way and fatigue it after it's scored. Or I can do it the semi-dangerous way. Caution, knives are sharp. Do not do this at home. I am a trained amateur. All right. Let's see if we do two of them together, if it'll cut through one. Nope, but it scored it enough that I should be able to easily. Notice I am cutting away, and there's nothing in the way to get cut other than what I'm trying to cut. Okay, here we go. Actually, let's go ahead and just remove that. That is one full rendition of the pattern. That is two maker's marks, and backside. And let me go ahead and so you guys can get the close-up. Let's see. There we go. All right, so backside. That was just the scissors falling. I was just tensioning. Most of the unevenness of this tension should even out fairly quickly. It just needs to be manipulated a little bit, and it'll be fine. The crossover patterns stretch a little less than the loose portion. And this side again. Alrighty. And I was going to tell you folks how long it was. So we will start. Okay, we're about 33 inches for the actual braid length, so just under 3 feet long. Alrighty, let me just wrap this up. I'm going to do a quick hand washing in gentle soap, let it dry overnight. Then I'll recut the end of the fringe, but the fringe is actually looking pretty good, so I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. A little bit of jiggling, and it looks like that weave type effect is gone now. It's just, it looks really good. All right, let me catch up with the chat, and then I will go ahead and see where I can redirect you folks, and I will try and get a good night's sleep so I can get over this migraine. Oh, and before I go, a quick look at the how the print's gone. It's doing pretty decent. Let's see. We have, says it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, but the slicer thinks it's 1 hour and 25 minutes. We're on layer 8 of 207, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be closer to the 1.5 hours than the 2 hours 20. First couple of layers are really slow for its calculation. All right, so we are back to, there we go. All right, let me see who's available. Go to channel content. That is not the active one. That was the active one the last time I streamed. There we go. Now that's the active one. All right. My mouse stops jumping around. All right, so let's go to customization and add a redirect. Let's see who's available. Looks like Megan Fox is up and live, so we'll go ahead and redirect to her. All right, we've got that set then. See anybody watching over on Rumble? Looks like we got one other person. All right. Being sick really did take a number out on my channel. All right, let's see. I think this is where we left off. Let's see, yep, okay, that was the last one. Okay, so Mom Noah says, I think God got it backwards. Youth is wasted on the young. Melee says, what's up? We're just tying off the braid. And Mom Noah says, hello, Melee. And Melee says, hey, Mom Noah. And Gwen says, hey, Melee. And Mom Noah says, how are you? Melee says, hey, Gwen. And Gwen says, or Melee says, doing good. And you, Mom Noah? And CH just CH says, it reminds me of winding a bobbin on a sewing machine. Yep, indeed, it is similar to that. And by the way, CH, I didn't realize you were a mod on Andrea's channel. Thank you for dropping in, and hope that we're interesting enough that you stop in occasionally in the future. But yeah, the braid is done. I hope to have it mailed by Wednesday, so hopefully Andrea can get it by Saturday. I'm going to send it priority mail most likely. And Momnos is very slowly getting better, I think. Hopes that it continues on that way. And Gwen says, hi, CH, just CH. And Momnos says, hello, CH. And CH says, hey, Gwen and Noah. And Melee says, glad to hear there's progress, Mom Noah. And Mom Noah says, not good. Oh, yeah, that's where I bent the needle. Mom Noah says, bending the needles doesn't work well. Yep, fortunately, they're not that expensive. Mom Noah says, thank you, Melee. And Gwen says, also, Torin 3 wears safety glasses. Yes, I do. Even have the proper side shields. And they're rated for shooting at the range, too. And Gwen says, looks good. CH says, amazing. And Phelps says, looks fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And Mary says, love it. Thank you as well. And Mom Noah says, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. And Mary says, congrats on finishing the braid. Thank you very much. And Mary says, Megan is streaming. I think, yep, I've got her set up and ready to go. Thanks again, everybody, for stopping in. I'll probably do another stream Tuesday or Wednesday. I want to get at least one more in before I start my treatment. It's probably going to be doing the 3D clock on the Fun channel, which is Torrent 3 Fun. And Melee says, thanks for the stream. And then I'm probably not going to be streaming again until next week, just given I don't know how the treatment's going to affect me. So thanks again, everybody, for stopping by. Say hi to Megan and probably Tug. Best wishes to everybody. Mom Noah says, take care and stay safe all. As always, everybody, stay safe and happy braiding.